Vicky, like me, grew up in a house where it was not so, we didn't see so much TV or films. We were reading and out in the garden. It was not the same house, it was in different countries, but similar families. So TV was not the top priority, but still, of course, just because of that, we were fascinated by everything that we were not so familiar with, watching movies and also with princesses. And Vicky had a close friend who lived nearby, and she always watched the Sissi films over Christmas. And Vicky was there and saw the films with her, and well, felt a fascination for that woman and for that story. And a couple of years later, she read a biography about Elizabeth, and the character kind of stayed with her, I think.
Yeah, the mystery, I think. Reading something and having the feeling that you read something, but there's something behind that you're not reading about, but you feel about. And this feeling stayed with me, this kind of being puzzled. Fester. Fester. Ganz langsam zurück. Kippen und dann... So when we worked together on our previous movie called We Used to Be Cool, I met Marie in Vienna, and we were in Vienna and we really wanted to work together again because we felt quite related in our life and being a mother, but also working, and how we were suffering from this idea that you always have to be some version of perfect in any kind of way. Either you are perfect because you work, or you're perfect because you don't work, but you have to always prove that you're legit. Yes, I'm legit to be a mother. Do you see how much I'm with my child? Or yes, I'm legit to be doing movies. Do you see how, you know, this pressure? And then I said, what about Sissi? I think it's interesting. And she didn't agree because Marie, on the other hand, grew up in Austria, being surrounded with the image of Sissi, being like this very kitschy symbol of the princess or the souvenir figurine for tourists. So she didn't like it at all, and she didn't see why you would make a movie. And I don't know what I left her with, but I said something like, oh really, because I thought it was interesting. At 15 I felt there's something. And then, this is the cool part about the story for me, she didn't say a word, which is very cool and female, I think. Power. And she just lived with it for a while, went to the archive, you correct me, found something interesting in the part of life that I would be in my age, which was little acts of rebellion, as she says, and she could see, oh, the woman I think was trying to rebel. And 3 years later, I think, suddenly I had a script in my letterbox with a postcard. And it said, dear Vicky, maybe you were right, I did go back to the archive or whatever, and here's the script. It was so cool.
Yes, that's what was also important for me, that I think that there are so many expectations for women on so many different fields. And the dark side of emancipation was, or is, that we are now allowed to work and vote and everything and drive cars, but we are also obliged to work and vote and drive cars and do all of that well, while at the same time we still have to be mothers, we have to be good mothers, we have to take care for our families, we have to do all that unpaid work and emotional work that is never valued as much as a man's work. And then also when we work, we get paid less. So there are so many things still going so dramatically wrong. I think the biggest problem, and I can tell that about myself because I just found out last year, was that for a very long time, my daughter is 11 years old, and during the 11 years of her life I made 7 films. I told that someone lately who asked me, and I was like, how did that ever even work? Because normally a film is about 2 years of work, so that's not even really possible, but it was. But of course it was not for free. And I was constantly overworked, and I was constantly exhausted, and I was constantly struggling with how to make it better and how to make it work better and how to find enough time for myself and for my daughter and me and for other things. So, and what I was trying to say is that I think only now that I'm 45, just a few months ago, I found out that it's not me, it's not an individual problem. It's not I can be perfect if only I work harder. It's a system. It's a system in which women can never fully achieve everything they want, because for that they would have to give too much on too many levels. So you can never really meet all the expectations. That's just not humanly possible for a woman. Of course, the expectations upon Elizabeth were different or more specific, but still it's cruel and it's unfair to expect her to always be perfect and always be beautiful.
And the physical part about it is the most unfair, because it's almost like we are trapped in this body. We are defined by the body. We are sexually referred to because of a body that I didn't choose, that apparently makes me some sexual object, which makes other people feel that they have the right to react to this sexually when I'm just here, you know, and I'm never even asked. So we are trapped to this, and then we are also expected to keep this body, which we never asked for in the first place, and we never made it this thing. So can they just leave us alone and just have our body and get older and be who we are and go and look at paintings or whatever?
When I look in the mirror, and I know all of this, and I'm a feminist through and through, and still when I look into the mirror, I'm like, oh, that has changed.
No,
no, I don't feel so good anymore.
Yeah,
and I hate it.
Yes, and I think that's why at 15 I related to this, because I was not a princess, I was not in a prison in a castle. I was free. But society apparently is so strong that I myself at 15 felt I have to be the princess too. But I can't, but I don't want to, so I was sad. And I think that's the sadness I felt, because this image of society is so strong that even if you can be free, you are not free.